Beautiful. Awesome, guys. I'm Alex from Element. A bunch of you guys might know me from the comps and from the gym, and I'm here with Sean from RedLeaf. And basically, I don't even know what this podcast is going to be called. I haven't gotten that far. I don't know what the intro music's going to be. I just figured we'll make it and then
I love it, man.
Go from there.
I love it.
So I wanted to start a little podcast series, and the biggest thing I really wanted to talk about was I think just these days so much like negativity around like competition and calling CrossFit members athletes.
Yep. Definitely.
And you guys have always had a lot of people out at our events and great support, which is awesome. So thank you for that. But I also wanted to kind of get your perspective, because I know a bunch of times when we jam out on stuff, you talk about the benefit of having a competition and having stuff, having members focus on an upcoming goal or something like that.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how'd you get into CrossFit? How'd you get into RedLeaf in this awesome, really cool spot? If you haven't checked it out, it's really unique. This is the gym that I want my gym to look like all the time. One day. But
your gym's the gym I want my gym to look like.
There we go. Maybe we can trade for a day.
Yeah. Let's do it.
But how'd you get into this? Like, what's your background?
Yeah, so long story short, when I was about 18, 19, 20, I went through a transformational weight loss. At that time, I wasn't tracking towards fitness at all. I was actually trying to balance like doing something in music. I was also seriously considering the Army.
Cool.
And so it's just the way things go, you know, you're like, you kind of get into the situation with music, and I'm like, you know what, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I always had fitness as a passion, and I was actually hired by a company. I was actually a personal trainer at the time.
Oh, no way.
And then I just sort of said, okay, well, I'm just going to do this for now.
Right.
And I fell in love. And, you know, there's more to the story, but that's kind of the big arcing thing.
Cool.
And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be the trainer, I'm going to be the best coach I can possibly be. And so I became obsessed with taking certs and stuff, and I just couldn't get enough. And I was training myself in full body. I was not, you know, I felt kind of on the outside, where a lot of my really good friends who are trainers, who I greatly respect and still friends with today, they're really into the back and by bodybuilding thing, but it never really spoke to me.
Right.
And so I then saw this one trainer who's a good friend of mine, still to this day, doing thrusters and pull-ups, and I'm like, what is going on over there?
So different, right?
Yeah. And I rolled over, and he's like, I'm doing CrossFit. I just flew down to where did they hold them back then?
Like California or Florida. They were all so south and like west.
Yeah, like
far away.
He went and certified with Greg Glassman himself. And he came back and he's like telling me about Olympic lifting, and then I was like, okay, I'm obsessed with this stuff. So I CrossFitted with him for months, and then probably a year and a half later, I went and got my certification.
Where'd you go?
And like, where did I go get certified?
Did you go to the States, or was there one in Toronto?
I went to Paul's gym, CrossFit Coliseum.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And like there was some amazing. Pat Sherwood did my L1. A woman who does Optimize Me Nutrition now. I'm forgetting her name at the moment, but yeah, there was some like, you know, CrossFit legends who did it. So it was really, really, really great experience. And then it kind of just it led from there. And still to this day, I'm extremely passionate about CrossFit. I believe in it. It's the most potent fitness vehicle in the world. And I'm just, there's nothing else I could do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like hearing that from people. I think so many people get so stuck on the, CrossFit was good, but now it's changed so much. And
right.
Like now they got to get out of it, where I agree. Like, I came to it from a sports background. I never liked working out.
Yeah.
I got fit through playing a lot of basketball. And then when it came to working out, I was bored.
Yeah.
And then
it's a big...
I used to spend 3-4 hours in the gym, and I felt like I didn't get a good workout in, but I was like, maybe I'm just doing it wrong or whatever. And you do a 10-minute CrossFit Metcon, and all of a sudden I was like, what have I been doing for 3 hours when in 10 minutes I'm just absolutely destroyed? And before I was doing 3 hours in the gym and like walking away from it, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was I doing?
Talk about efficiency, like,
right?
You know.
That's what I tell people a lot of times, like a CrossFit class is the most efficient 60 minutes you can spend in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and the best way to spend it. And you're going to walk away from that 60 minutes feeling so accomplished, so proud of yourself, and also like, hey, if that WOD didn't crush me, what else is not going to crush me today? And that's like your mindset now for the rest of the day.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
That's very cool. So about the competition side of things.
Yeah.
I know you used to compete a little bit yourself. You program for competitive athletes, and you program for the gym here and that kind of stuff. So I guess how'd you get from just CrossFit, the fitness thing to CrossFit, the competitive side. What was your transition there?
Yeah, so I took it really seriously. I really wanted to regional track. I wanted to do the whole thing. I wanted to get to regionals and then see where it went from there. But I came to a head where I was like, okay, I'm either going to focus on CrossFit for myself or I'm going to focus on CrossFit for others, and as far as a business standpoint goes, because CrossFit is the competitive CrossFit is a very selfish experience.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yep.
It's just you are so self-consumed because you have to be.
It's the only way to get better.
It's the only way to get better, and it's a performance sport, and everything matters.
Yeah.
How I feel that day, who's around, who's going to be talking to me, what's my tone in my voice that day, am I positive and supportive of this hurt? Everything matters. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to think about the rest of my life, and I chose that. And I don't regret it. I didn't look back. And so now I still get to take that passion and I still pour everything I can into my workouts on an hourly basis. I do our classes, and I don't do anything additional to that, or maybe a few things, but the primary meat of my program is our own programming.
Right.
And I'll do an hour a day, 4 to 5 days a week, and I'll give everything I have. And then when there's local competitions, like when Element's throwing a competition, I'll rally. I'll be part of the rallying group that gets teams set up, and then I'll go and compete with them.
That's awesome.
Because I love it.
That's really cool. I like the fact that, like you're saying, at one point it was really selfish, and then you became focused on other areas of your life.
Yeah.
And I think some people look at that as a big knock on the competitiveness of CrossFit or the competitive side of CrossFit, but I also feel like there's some benefit to taking some time to be selfish.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be years.
Yeah.
It can just be like, hey, there's a competition coming up, and some of the other stuff we've talked about before, I really think I long for the day that CrossFit, or I guess we have to call them functional fitness competitions, sanctionals or whatever, where people sign up for them like they would sign up for a marathon.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm going to win. I want to get experience, but I want this date, 3 months out or 4 months out. I'm going to focus my training. I'm going to get my diet in check. I'm going to sleep a little better.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink a little less alcohol.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this period of time to focus my training and get some progress going. And then that's the day I'm going to perform. And then after that, we can refocus and just go back to, a more sustainable way of living.
Exactly.
But I like that aspect of training. And I think I'm sure focusing on that selfish aspect for you is definitely giving you a lot of perspective on how you can help other people reach their goals.
Definitely. Because if they're going into it for the first time, I can say, hey, I've been there too.
Yeah.
And I know how you're feeling. This is what you can expect. Yeah. Without trying to people have to experience it for themselves. You might know what they're going to experience, but you can't ruin it. It's like if you've seen the latest Game of Thrones, I don't want you to tell me about it. I want to see it for myself.
That's right.
And so you tell them a little bit to keep them excited, but you let them go and experience it, and you're right there when they need you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? I know how I feel, but how do you feel about competition for new people? So the one comp that we have coming up, New Kids in the Box.
Yeah.
It's specifically geared to newbies, to CrossFitter, the weekend warrior, the people who still don't have a pull-up. I think that's actually the tagline is no pull-ups, no problem. But how do you feel about those people being competitive? Because I know there's a lot of criticism out there in terms of oh, you're not a CrossFit athlete. Don't call them athletes. They're members. They're clients.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And I can kind of see where it's coming from. But what are your personal thoughts on that kind of?
Yeah, the whole you're not an athlete thing. That could be its own topic on its. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I mean, life is a rapid sport. You got to be fit and ready for it.
Yeah.
You got to be athletic to handle life on its own. So don't talk to me about how we're all athletes, for sure. So, but when I heard, it was just before the first New Kids.
Yep.
When I saw it come up on Facebook or wherever I saw it, I nearly fell out of my chair because I was just Alex has done it again. You recognize that there is a niche, there is a need in this sort of band and spectrum of competitions that are available, and there was a huge cohort of people that were sort of left out, and they're oh, I'm not really ready for that. Maybe next year I'll do it. And it's no, you're ready now.
Yeah.
And it created this space for people to go and showcase what they got, whether they've been at it for 2 months, 2 weeks, 8 months, whatever, and the whole no pull-ups, no problem removed the barrier to entry. And it was brilliant. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, we're going all in on this thing. And we sent a good group. I can't remember exactly how many people went, but we sent a good group.
It was like an army. There was a lot of everywhere. There's RedLeaf shirts everywhere I looked. It was awesome.
Look, when we believe in an event, we all rally on it. Like, it's not just me. It's just like our whole team. And so we get behind it. And so we got as many people as we could and people's family. And like there was a lot of people there to support. And we had an awesome time. And what was cool is those that competed came back like the next day or the Monday following, and it was just like there was a real sense of accomplishment that you simply can't buy or synthesize that in any other way. And so it's like the importance of these competitions that you throw, it's not so much about the day, it's about the power of accountability and the framework that we can build around it as their coaches, as their gym, to lead them up and to get to that day. And the amount of successes that you get when they're bought in on the way there, they are 50 to 60, 70% more successful in the 6 weeks leading out to one of your competitions.
Like focusing on just the top 1%, you miss out on the regular athlete and the progress that they're making. And I think the thing is, they're the people who are driving it forward. They're the people, like, if you look at it from any brand perspective, that's what's weird to me. Like, who's buying all the Reebok shoes?
Yeah, right.
The best guys want to get free Reebok shoes.
Yeah.
The people buying them, and that goes for everything. The people keeping all affiliate doors open are people without pull-ups. So if we focus all our energy on the people, and don't get me wrong, I still think all progress should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Getting 10 bar muscle-ups in a row is just as important as someone's getting their first pull-up. But I think what looks cooler on video is always 10 bar muscle-ups. Who takes more selfies of themselves working out? The better athletes.
Yes.
Right? People generally don't take videos of themselves doing hanging knee raises.
Correct.
But man, I cranked out a whole bunch of toes to bar. Let me videotape that. So people start feeling left out, and I just want to provide an opportunity for people who are new to this to get that same feeling, because exactly to your point, I think that 6 weeks leading up to a competition, as humans, we're deadline-driven beings. We want the difference is, I remember one psychology course I took, they were basically saying, what's the difference between you can buy this textbook online. Why did you pay whatever each course is, $700 at university, to come here, sit down, study, and write the test? You can get synthesize the same information yourself, but having a deadline, having a time to do it, changes your focus.
Absolutely.
And we need those things. So I like having that as kind of almost like a carrot, right? You're gonna work and focus, and the carrot at the end is gonna be like, look at what I've accomplished.
Yeah.
Look what I was capable of.
Yeah.
Something I didn't think I could do before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important, and just to add on to that, not only, I mean, you know this very well, but like when you have a member who's on an upswing and they're like, hey, I just PR'd my deadlift, what do you think happens 2 or 3 days later? Because the buy-in is upticked a little bit, like, oh my God, I'm a little bit closer to my pull-up. Right. And so what they start to get is they're like, oh, excellence here is excellence outside of the gym.
Yeah.
Because they're high stepping outside. They're
That's right.
They're high fiving everybody. Today was awesome. Can't wait. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And then they go and kick today's ass.
Yeah.
Right? And like that is so much fun and so infectious. And like it's just, that energy is, I mean, if I could bottle it up, and just have it year round, I would.
Right.
And so these competitions really allow us it's a rally point for us.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's our big focus has always been on, like on the athlete experience. It's not about like who podiums. Like there is a podium, but it's never been like, all right, guys, like who cares? We need to find the fittest person in the room. That's definitely a piece of it.
Yeah.
Just like there needs to be a winner of the marathon. But to me, like I've run a couple of 5Ks and 10Ks. Anything beyond that's kind of like just not. I don't know how people do it for that long. I can't watch TV for that long. Never mind run. But I look at it like the experience of it is. Like, what do I remember, right? I remember, like, oh, like, I got a cool T-shirt. I did the start line. I pushed myself. What did I do leading up to it? I actually, like, ran, not just in WODs. Like, I actually went for runs.
Yes.
So, and then looking back at it, I'm like, well, I'm happy I went for those runs. It was a nice day out, and I got better at running again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Having that reason, that date that I signed up to go is what forced me to do that. And I think the same thing with a competition. All of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I know I have this extra time today. I'm going to go to the gym for the 4th time this week.
Yeah.
Because I have this competition coming up. I'm not going to have that extra beer tonight because I have this competition coming up. Or maybe I'm going to go out to the bar and not drink. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, like, once you've done it, how many people are like, I didn't even think I could go to this birthday party and not have a beer.
Yeah.
And I'm a champion for having water all night and having a good time still.
Yeah.
Right? Not saying there's anything wrong with drinking out at a birthday party, but, like, realizing, like, I set this goal for myself and I'm going to do things that I wouldn't normally do to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. You might take some heat, but, you know, drink the Zevia at the party.
Seriously.
Or drink the water. But it's worth it, and we do it because it matters.
That's right. But that sense of accomplishment, right? Of like, I thought all these things were difficult. I thought going to a comp was difficult.
Yeah.
I thought not drinking was difficult. I thought all these things were difficult. And it turns out, like, man, I'm a champion. I can do them all.
Yeah. And it happens right away. So, like, there I am. I'm about to sign up for Element Team Challenge happening September, what's the number?
Saturday, September 7th.
Saturday, September 7th.
At the hangar. It's going to be great.
I'm sitting there, and registration hasn't opened yet, I don't think.
No.
In a couple weeks.
22nd, unless you're on the VIP list, which you can go check out on Facebook.
I'm on there.
You're on there. A couple
Get
other
on
people
there.
are on there. It's going to be good.
And so it's like the second when you click submit or register, it's like the feeling hits you right then and there. Whether you do it on your phone or you're just like,
it's real.
Okay, let's go.
That's right.
You know, I'm signed up and I'm in, and it's great. And like we haven't even gotten into the summer yet, and I'm already like getting my mindset going. Okay, I got to be fit for September.
Yeah.
And I also love the timing of the September competition because, like, you know, as we know, the CrossFit season has changed.
Yep.
So now we go into October. That's going to be our open.
Yep.
And so I love the idea of that I'm going to be peaking as far as fitness goes for your competition, and then I'm going to be popping out going, okay, bring on the open.
That was the idea. That's why we tried to pull it to the beginning of the month.
Is that why? That's awesome.
Because the open's coming up in October again. We don't even know the specific days, but in that phase. And I didn't want to be in the summertime because people are traveling. That's the only tough part with summer comps. I think they're great. And I have this weird thing with outdoor competitions.
Yeah.
With the weather here, I just feel like there's still too much, like, the sun. You have a really good sunny day. Like last year, the team comp was really hot. I don't know if you remember. It was really hot in that place.
Yeah.
We had fans and doors open, but didn't really make much of a difference.
Now I remember.
But at least there's some things that have been to outdoor comps where, like, you have the rubber flooring out. It's like burning people's feet. You're doing burpees because it's just hot in the sun. The bars and like the pull-up bars or the barbells in the sun are getting really hot.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be outdoor components. I can tell you this to this year's workout.
All right.
But I like having the ability to having shelter as well, and so that's a cool part of the location, the hangar, that we have a lot of space there to work with.
Oh, it's awesome.
And that timing is really fun. And in the summer, you get a little less, like you're not going to get it, hopefully, knock on wood, a 35-degree day. We're just going to be absolutely roasting in the sun.
Oh, no. So you're going to send us out there? All right, that's good. That's
Maybe.
good. Well, that's the other thing. I like that you like the other cool thing about the Element competition is that it's not just about, like, come and do the workouts. The athlete experience is really thought about, and you feel that. And so I was part of, there was a select group of teams that got VIP last year.
Yeah.
Dude, rolling in, like we had a blast. We were rolling into our locker room. Our names were up. We had a little bag hung for us. Like, we felt real special. We felt like real athletes.
Good. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. And it worked.
Good.
And so we were hooked. And also being in that arena, it sort of elevated it too.
Different vibe, right?
Totally different vibe, and it was fresh.
Yeah.
So,
good. I'm so glad to hear that. Awesome. So any tips for someone who's like new, who's thinking about like doing the first CrossFit comp but feels like, I can't do this, it's not for me, or whether they have pull-ups or don't? Because I know there's a lot of people who I talk to, and they're all ends of the spectrum, and they're like, I'm just not ready, or like, I'm not there yet. What would you tell them?
Yeah. So I mean, number one, what I would do is I would put yourself on the hook. And I know we've already said it, but I would say get yourself signed up for it.
Right.
And it's not like, it's not like the end of the world if something comes and you have to unhook yourself from that thing. But put yourself there, see how you feel. Second thing is I would start to attend classes more often. If you're sort of a 2 a week, 3 days a week, get your butt in here or into your gym, wherever you're going, 4 to 5. People will come in and they'll be like, okay, well, how often should I be training? And we're like, every day. You're like, every day? I'm like, okay, maybe not 7 days a week, but we want you in here 4, 5, 6 days a week. And it doesn't mean you're going 100% intensity for those 6 days, but we want you in here tapping in with the community. We want you in here mobilizing, learning, asking questions. Whipping a barbell around doesn't mean you are creating so much fatigue and muscle breakdown that you now need a rest day tomorrow. Sometimes whipping an empty barbell around just to learn a snatch technique that's worth it. Yep. And so that can be your 6th day or your 5th day or whatever it might be. But yeah, so I would say hook yourself up, put yourself on the hook for the competition, attend more, show up more. And then number 3, apply yourself into the classes. Like just really pour everything you can. Be uncomfortable. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to sweat. Like get there. And then number 5, I would say talk to a coach. Hey, what can I do? And there's always something, and it doesn't necessarily always mean some personal training or some sort of extra. It could be something, hey, why don't you try these 2 things, these 2 progressions every single day when you come in here before the class?
Right.
Give me something as easy as that.
Yeah, I like that. I try to tell people all the time, like, it's just so interesting to me with people pick up a hobby like road cycling. I live out kind of on the edge of the country, so every time I drive home in the summer, I'm always like, all these cyclists on these 2-lane roads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But what's interesting to me, like they pick it up, and number one, they're all athletes.
Yeah.
Right? Interesting how people doing CrossFit can't be athletes, but these guys are athletes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But then 2, it's interesting the level of dedication they put into this because they're researching just by virtue of the sport, like what bike do I get, what kind of gears do I have, what kind of handles do I have. They research all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I try to tell like all my athletes that you don't have to, fall down the whole rabbit hole of CrossFit, but it's good to be like, to know the sport that you're doing, just like you're picking up a hobby and understand why you're doing it so that like, I can come in on the 5th day and I'll just do light stuff today. Even though it says heavy, I'm going to do light technique work because I'm tired. Like, understand yourself and understand the sport and the difference between training and competing. Whereas competing, I'm going to go 100%. And I think that's some of the negativity around the whole athlete thing is I think everyone's going to come in here and go 110% every day.
Yeah.
But if you watch the best athletes, they don't do that. No. They come in, they work on skill, they mobilize, they stretch. I remember seeing some games athletes back in the day at regionals, and they were doing like 45-minute rows.
Yeah, right.
Just to get their cardio. And I was like, they do cardio? And I was like, they do everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's about being smart and intentional with your exercise, if you will.
Yes.
And not just being like crazy all the time and thinking that's what makes you an athlete.
Yeah.
And I really love to come in more often, talk to a coach. I think that's the best thing you can do, right? Because everyone that's a coach, and I'm sure you guys hire your coaches the same as we, they're people that are passionate about this.
Yeah.
So talk to your coach. If they don't know, they'll find out for you and get back to you or hook you up with someone that can help you with like what to do to go forward.
And also, if you said to your coach, guess what that coach might do? They might orbit you just 1 or 2 extra times in your class because you spoke up and you're like, hey, I'm really trying to get this. As coaches, we care.
Yeah.
And we want to hear that stuff. And so that's like, okay, you've now given me the invite, the green light to get in there with you a little bit in the foxhole. And while stuff's going on overhead, and let's figure this out.
The more you care as an athlete, the more I care as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've learned really early on. I remember I had like clients that I was like, oh man, like I wish they would listen to me. They didn't.
Yeah.
And I would just get exhausted trying to get them to care. But then I realized what recharges me as a coach is if they care a lot.
Yeah.
And then I add to that, then I leave that session and I'm just like, man, I'm fired up. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so, like, telling your coach that you're really interested in you care is huge.
100%. Yeah, and we almost seek it out. Like we almost need that, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's true. Because that's what gets us going. That's why we got into this in the first place, right?
Yes.
To help people that want our help.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like when we show, we're fired up no matter what. But it does help to get that sort of feedback and be like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, Sean, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
This is
for
really
having
cool.
me.
Hopefully this turns out good, and there'll be some more. And maybe we'll be back here again sometime, too. We can jam on some other fun gym CrossFit topics.
Yeah, I would love to come back. Let's do it again.
Yeah, beautiful.
100%.
Awesome.
Love it, buddy. Cool. Cheers.